Welcome to Straight Talk Sacred Pathway. I'm Stuart Wellborn, a British author and former therapist, and each week I sit down with Wa-Na-Nee-Che, a spiritual elder from Turtle Island, to explore the deeper truths behind healing, ceremony, and connection to Source. Calls on it.
So where'd you get the turtle from?
Turtle?
Yeah,
What turtle?
the one on your cap.
No, Star Wars. It's my
That's
mega
a turtle.
hat. Make the Empire great again.
Oh, okay. Use the
Anyway,
force, Luke.
yeah, we could do with some Force being used. We could do with some Jedi kind of people in control in your country instead of like the ice people, couldn't we?
Is what now?
I'm just saying the Jedi Council would be a better fit for running your country than the current lunatics. You know, the ice agents and all that. Did you get me?
An answer?
No, I'm sorry. I'm like in my own world right now, trying to figure out if I should have my mic here or
The
not.
lights are on.
Right, I'm going to have to sit closer to my microphone, I'm guessing. Is that any better, Linda? Can you hear me now when I talk closer? Also, is Wa-Na-Nee-Che's levels good?
Okay.
And then we can actually talk about something interesting.
Well, whatever Trump said about Bad Bunny, so people wouldn't watch him during the halftime show at the Super Bowl. 135 million people tuned in, and only 25 people tuned in to Trump.
25.
25. So I guess that tells him where the people are at anyway. And everybody said it was fantastic. Well, he did the whole show in Spanish. All of these songs in Spanish.
Right.
He's a real famous Puerto Rican. Yeah, I even said that right. Puerto Rican
Yeah, that has.
entertainer.
I didn't bother with the Super
Grammy
Bowl.
Awards.
That's
Yeah.
the only way.
But I was pleased with who won it because as a Raiders fan, we're getting the offensive coach coming to be our head coach.
Well, the whole thing comes out. He gave two messages at the Super Bowl. Number one, he was holding a football, and when he showed it, it said, "We are all Americans." And then when he ended the show on a big billboard, the only way we can I'm trying to figure out how it says, but the only way we can deal with hate or get rid of hate is with love.
He said that in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
halftime.
and I've been telling the people a long time.
Well, people like the mystics have been saying it for thousands of years, but people just don't want to hear it, do they?
No, it's like when we sit there. No matter how many times I tell people, the process of healing people doesn't come from you. The process of healing people has to come from the individual themselves. And what you have to do is you have to give them tools so they can figure out what's wrong with themselves, so then they can promote the healing from the energies. But too many people out there are trying to think that they're the healers. I always tell people, can you heal me? I said, no, but I'll help you heal yourself by helping you connect those things that you have to connect to. Because a lot of people don't realize that a lot of illness that we're going through right now is psychological. Because every time we turn to TV, it's saying you're going to get sick, you're going to get cancer, you're going to get this, you're going to get that. And like I said, when I said before, the mind is so powerful that it can create things. So the first thing that you have to do is get them out of their mind and basically understand that the energy can cure them. They just got to basically get out of that subconscious things that they're the telepathic things that they're getting from everything that they look at. And your advertising companies are very smart because they know that if they control the brain, they can sell their product. So I always tell people, you're not a healer. you can help people heal, but you yourself is not the healer. You don't have that gift of healing people without having to help from the life force energies, the energies, universal energies. And then when you get done, they're completely out of their mind because every time you sit there and you say, I healed you, every time they get sick, they run to you. When in fact, they did heal you.
That's called transference in my game.
Yeah.
No, I know what you're saying though, because when people came to me as a hypnotherapist and psychotherapist, it was they'd been hypnotized is the way I'd like to say it, by the media and things, and my job was to dehypnotize them so that they changed the programming in the mind. So it's a similar sort of thing to what you're saying, only I do it from more of a psychological perspective.
You know the word I like?
Go on then.
That you can become a psychological healer.
Go on, elaborate.
Makes sense because you can use psychology to basically get them to sit there to realize what their problem is.
Yeah, well, step one is realizing you've got a problem. Step two is like finding out why it is. But a lot of people stay in that place of going, well, I've got this problem, and then they do nothing about it.
Yeah, because even when we deal with fear is something that we picked up early in life, even when we were children, and we never got rid of it. When in reality, it can simply be gone by them realizing where it's coming from.
Sorry, my mic level's low apparently, so I'm just trying to sort that. Carry on. I am listening to you.
Yeah, too many times we're in a head game, and we need to get out of our heads. We need to basically start understanding that when something happens in our life, we always say, "Oh, it's so terrible." When we should be saying, "What's the lesson? What is it trying to show us? Is it trying to show us what the fear we have so we can get over this fear? Is it giving us tools so that we realize that we can defeat whatever's coming at us?" Because that's what Carl says, you can't swim unless you're thrown into the water, and then all of a sudden you swim. Just out of desperation to keep alive. That's how I learned to swim. My brother said, "Can you swim?" I said, "No." So he threw me in the water.
I think my dad said something similar.
Yeah, I learned to dog paddle very quick.
Okay, we've got a question from Linda. Hang on, I'm going to take the microphone with me, then you can hear. Where do attachments come from? Is that a separate question, Linda? Because you got, why can they see us and have power over us? And is it a supernatural experience when it happens?
Well, first of all, we can simply be walking in a graveyard. And after our spirits walking around and they touch you, you get all of their information when they were alive. So all of a sudden you sit there and say, "Oh, it's a past life." No, it's not a past life. It's just that when you touched them, you basically, all their information was transferred to you. But the other thing is that the reason why they get attached to you, first of all, is out of fear. If you show fear, they say, I can kind of control the whole situation. So the first thing that we do is we give the energy, or give the spirits themselves, these entities that attach to you, we give them the power over us. Because again, it's a mental thing, and we don't realize that when they attach to you, they have no power, because if that's all they can do is give you information and do things, they have no power over you, but we allow that power to basically control us. So the first thing we have to say is, go away. I don't need your advice because your advice is not good. Now, if you want to give me good advice and help me in my life, you're welcome. But if you're here to irritate me, leave. And a lot of times, energy is very, very easy to utilize. There's an exercise that if you feel somebody is getting into your space, all you got to do is take your hands and go above your head and move them down all the way down to the ground. Or you can go from the ground all the way up. But when you finish, make sure your hands go out and down, because now you actually called in an energy shield and you're protected. But if you go like that with your hands, it's gone. So we got to be careful, and we use our hands for many things, so we can put the energy around us to protect us, but then we do things that basically causes the energy to dissipate. So when you do that, if you do that exercise over your head and come down slowly all the way down to your feet, or vice versa from your feet all the way above your head, and you go out and then down, you're okay. And you'd be surprised how much clarity you get, because you're no longer bothered by their energy. It's like a wall. They can't come through that wall. You've got a protective life force energy around you.
Okay, I don't know if that answers her question, but she said she meant attachments that come to attackers. Okay, and where do they come from? And they don't try to give advice, she says.
Attachments basically are just spirits that are still walking the earth. And sometimes I remember this show called Missing. I don't know if you remember it, but with Tommy Lee Jones. He was a grandfather, and they captured his granddaughters. This one native, and this native was evil and used evil medicine to control people. But when they confronted each other, the good killed the evil. But it actually took his life, which I didn't like the ending, because it shouldn't have taken his life. He should have been able to defeat him because he had the knowledge of the pure way. So attachments basically, again, can come from all kinds of things. Skinwalkers. There are good skinwalkers and there are bad skinwalkers. And the way that a lot of the skinwalkers' medicine, if someone's evil, they dig up the grave of that individual and they take their medicine.
What's a skinwalker?
And then they use their medicine against you.
What's a skinwalker?
Yeah.
No, what is one? Sorry, what is a skinwalker?
Skinwalker basically can take any shape, form it wants. And a lot of times that's where these stories come from basically the medicine people taking, or how would you call it, taking forms of different things. But sometimes they take their forms of something that helps you. Other times it's evil. But a lot of it basically is more of the evil side than the good side. And then again, see, because our energy is loud, we allow these things to attach to us, not knowing how simple it is to get them unattached. Because the first thing it does, it creates fear.
Sorry for the quietness. I was trying to see if there was more questions there, but
yeah, it's almost, when it comes down to a simple way to do it, it's a mind game versus an energy game. And which one are you going to believe? Because the energy part, not too many people talk too much about the energy part. So we don't understand the energy part. But the evilness, it's all over the place. I mean, you're bombarded every time you turn around. They're bombarding your mind, trying to get you to believe it. You get so much information that you start to believe everything that you're told. We don't listen to our energy.
Well, we do listen. A lot of people do listen to the media too much, whether you're on the left or the right. At the end of the day, the media is there to make money.
Yeah. And then when you look at it too, like say for instance, a man and a woman. What attracts the man to the woman and what attracts the woman to the man? And normally it's looks. And the other thing is, basically, once they get to know each other, sex becomes a a very powerful tool. But when we meet people, how many times do we try to tell the person who we are? We exaggerate. And about 5, 10 years down the road, one of them will say, "You're not the same person I married." Well, of course, they never were. Now everything comes out and they see the person for who they are. And then divorce comes. I always tell people, don't look when you get a feeling of attraction. The first thing I said, don't look. And I said, don't use your eyes and don't use your ears. What you do is you have what they call the life force energy in the base of your spine. Now, if an energy is meant to be part of you, you will feel it. You'll get an energy burst. And that's the energy itself. Then to see where that energy lies, ask them questions that you normally wouldn't ask somebody. Try to get to know the real person. And then when you guys have your relationship, you have to get married, it lasts forever.
How would you know the difference, though? Because you said the feeling, an energetic feeling. What's the difference between that and lust? Because as you said, I would say men are more geared towards how somebody looks than women are.
Well, women are more looking at money.
Well, I wouldn't. No, but they look for character
Security,
traits
actually.
like confidence and those kind of things. Whereas us men were simple creatures,
Yeah. Well,
and we're
men
slaves to
think,
our hormones, aren't we?
like they always say, men think with two heads. Unfortunately, they talk with the wrong head. And
Yeah.
women are basically looking for security, I guess, when you want to nail it down. But the whole idea is that the first thing you got to say, if you first thing that comes to mind, oh, he does this, or oh, she does that, you're looking at it wrong because you're already in the mind state where you're trying to sit there and try to create a solution, creating understanding through your mind. But you'll always get like when you have an energy match, you'll get some kind of a sign within your energy itself. Like I can go someplace, like say at a bar, and I can pick up negative energy right away, and it tells me stay away from them. And then all of a sudden and all of a sudden I say, "Whoa, I get an energy burst." And I start talking to this person, and we're right on level. We understand each other because we look at the energy itself. We don't know why we were attracted to someone, but all of a sudden, when we're not sure of why we're attracted to someone, that means that we're not looking with our eyes, we're not listening with our ears, we ain't speaking, we're feeling something that there's a connection. And how many times have we sat there and said, we're looking for our soul partner, our soul spirit? Why do you want to have a soul person that thinks just like you? How are you going to grow? So when you look for somebody, you have to look at somebody that's the opposite. They're strong where you're weak, and where you're strong, they're weak. And that's the whole concept of the yin and yang, to come together and to form a circle, to form unity, to form balance. And that's what we have to look to. But too many people look at other things, and that's why their relationships don't last. It's just like a good example would be my mom and dad. My mom sat there and she wanted to get out of a situation, and she was looking for some security. So my dad and my mom, they eloped. And I was talking to my mom one day. She said, when I married your dad, he said, I didn't love him. She said, but he was a kind man and I respected him. He said, after 2 years of our relationship, she said, I fell madly in love with him. But it took 2 years to finally understand who my dad was. And my dad, the same thing. She found out, and they based their whole relationship on love.
Well, a lot of people kind of create an idealist version of what they think the relationship's going to be like, You don't really know the other person to start with, and so it is on attraction and character traits, and then obviously sex. So later down the line, because it's not just that you're trying to turn that you're attracted to the traits. You got to bear in mind that people bullshit as well, don't they? Because they try to make out that they're somebody that they're not. I mean, being in the military and the Navy and the girl in every port and all that, the amount of times me and my friend said we were pilots when we weren't pilots, for example, is just one of those bullshit mechanisms that everybody uses.
Well, I think that the word that would probably kind of describe it is basically anticipation. And the whole idea is that we sit there and all of a sudden we imagine all kinds of things of what we want. But again, when we do that, we get out of reality and we get into fantasy, and all of a sudden they want that fantasy to come true. So when they hear that person say something, oh, that's exactly what I'm looking for, because that person is not saying the truth.
Yes, I had a client once that was falling in love virtually every other month with somebody new. You know, oh,
Yeah.
this person's different. They get me. They're just like what I want, and this, that, and the other. And then a month or two later, they weren't that person.
Well, I always say, don't listen to the person. Ask them questions. You know, get to know them. You know, and you can't get to know them if they're talking about themselves, that they like this, they like that. You know, ask them the tough questions. Do you like kids? You know, do you want kids? What's your interpretation of love? How loyal are you? You know, you got to ask the tough questions when you want to get to know somebody, but you don't prejudge. You sit there and you go and you sit. A lot of times, you know, if you're gullible and you hear things, the first thing when you get real gullible is the fact that somebody's not telling the truth here. So we have to listen to our inside, but we don't. You know, we hear something, we see something, and we look at something, and we can prejudge things. It's like the native said, you know, walk a mile in these moccasins before you decide who that person is.
We have another question, because we have talked about relationships and soulmates and things like that in earlier episodes. There's nothing wrong with covering it because we do have a few people who have been watching live, but I don't know if right here. I'll take the microphone with me again. What is the significance of the Milky Way in terms of a doorway?
Oh,
If that's
it's covered with chocolate. It's covered with chocolate. Well, again, the Milky Way itself is interpretation is a universe.
We will have it on YouTube, so I'll have to edit the YouTube one now.
Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah. The Milky Way is just part of the whole. It's a section of space that they call a universe. But there are other universes as well. So when we look at that, it's just the doorway, again, can be any place. Where we get transported to is where we say the source of the power, but it doesn't have to be in the Milky Way universe. It can be any place in in all the universes combined.
Well, when you say the Milky Way is the doorway, could you elaborate on what you mean? Are you on about the black hole at the centre of it, or because it is a massive, it's beyond comprehension, like the size of the Milky Way, and it's only one galaxy, isn't it?
Yeah. The whole idea when it comes down to the black hole, again, our way of explaining it sometimes is the fact that it's growing, it's growing, it's growing because of negative energy. And when things go into the black hole, you're destroyed. So in a way, the concept that the indigenous people had was that when your energy goes and it goes into the black hole, it dissipates.
So you were aware of black holes then, were you? Your ancestors?
Yeah. And it's funny because a lot of things that they're discovering on the Earth now, we've known about it for thousands and thousands of years.
Such
We
as?
have stories, which we call winter counts, in which we talk about the giants that walked the Earth, and they're just now discovering that yeah, there were giants, and we were saying the story's been there for thousands of years. Spaceships. We were talking about spaceships a long time ago, where they said we got off, and that what happened was that we start experimenting with things, and that's where the concept of man evolving, humans evolving, and and according to our stories, they were experiments that went wrong.
But what about the fossil record? Because man now goes back. Our earliest ancestors go back millions of years. They're now saying Homo, whatever it was, the one before Erectus. I can't remember what it was now. I mean, how does that tie in then? Because the fossil records are showing, um, you know, our ancestors have been around a lot longer than just 100,000 years.
Mhm. They just discovered that there was a tunnel that was underground where it went to different countries. They call countries now. And in our stories, we talk about tunnels that we could go in, but for some reason, they would speed things up so that, say, for instance, it took you like, say, a plane. It took you 8 hours to get to England.
Mm-hmm.
While underground, it would take you the same amount of time because you'd almost like you were going through a time warp. But there's stories that they talk about how people used to travel underground. And that's where, when I have the vision of Ireland, of people going through the tunnel to go pick herbs. And then the tunnel, for some reason, closed and they got trapped in Ireland. And I always told the Irish people, look back, go back, go back, go back. You'll probably find some songs that basically related to the drum. And I said, why was it that of all the people in the world, why was it only the native indigenous people that had helped Ireland when they had the famine? Because they were very strong related. They understood that they were part of the original people that came from Turtle Island.
So where are these tunnels? Because you said they found the tunnels, did you say?
Yeah, they actually found some now.
Where?
Uh, Between Europe and the United States.
Really?
Yeah. But the whole idea is that the knowledge that we had, they're just now starting to discover things. But have they ever talked to the indigenous people about things? No. Because we're heathens, we're savages, we don't know nothing. Even though we were at peace. It's just like when you sit there, when you look at television today, how many events are there on TV where they talk about issues, minority issues, but yet there's never an indigenous person?
I've noticed that.
Yeah, we've become a whatever in our own country, and we're not even recognized.
Yeah, that's not on.
And yet, where's the knowledge? The knowledge is with them. The indigenous people has the knowledge, but they don't want to hear the knowledge because number one, it takes them from their mental control.
There's a lot going on. There's a second part to the question about the Milky Way here. I'm going to take the mic with me again. Is the Milky Way the entrance to the energy world?
No.
There's a go. There's your
One.
answer.
It's just one of the entrances. You can, wherever you happen to be at that particular time, that's the doorway you will go through to go to the source of the power. So again, I hate giving things names like the Milky Way because humans again have to give things names so they can understand it. It's just an energy hole that is produced. It's a tunnel to go wherever you have to go.
And where could you end up going then?
Yeah. So, and maybe when we look, maybe a simple answer could be: there's 144,000 galaxies. Which galaxy do you belong to?
Well, I think there's more.
So
than
when
that,
you pass
but
on, your energy goes to the energy that's calling you, that you belong to.
we are into our final couple of minutes. So, did that answer your question, Linda, about the Milky Way? If not, very quickly ask for clarification. And there'll be a delay between me saying that and her listening to it. She'll probably reply and we'll get cut off.
You know, it's kind of funny because I say, you get in your car and you go to the grocery store, but you keep going to Tesco's. So is Tesco's the Milky Way? Because you go there every day, it draws you every day. So again, it's the energy that draws you. Once you pass, it's the energy that draws you where you go.
Right. I think we'll end on that because we are going to get cut off within the next minute because it's saying less than a minute now. I was going to actually ask you about this time of year and whether we should be expending energy, but I guess we'll have to talk about that next week.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to Straight Talk Sacred Pathway. If you'd like to ask Wa-Na-Nee-Che a question, you can email me at stuart@realityresponsibility.com. The link will be in the description. And don't forget, you can download a powerful guided meditation for free at humancircleoflife.com.